Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about one of the worst states in our country right now, one of the states most corrupted by liberal politicians and terrible progressive policies. I'm of course talking about California. I used to actually live in California and man, I'm really grateful I'm not there anymore. It's been steadily going downhill for over a decade now, but in the last few years they really started to exponentially get worse. Of course, it's all liberal leaders there besides maybe a few negligible conservatives in a few small positions, but essentially it's liberal run. Gavin Newsom is the governor, the mayor there. I believe Eric Garcetti is in Los Angeles. That's where today's story is taking place. And what we're talking about today is how there's two stories that are coming to head that happened just this past week. Essentially, the NBA finals just happened. If you hadn't heard, basketball just finished their season and they had a big closing game where LeBron James and the LA Lakers won the finals. But I don't think anyone actually watched much of that. It wasn't a big deal for most people. It actually had the worst ratings in the NBA history. No one really cares about professional sports anymore because, of course, they're getting super woke and LeBron James has sold out to a foreign nation that hates us. He's more in favor of this Far East Middle Kingdom nation than he is for his actual country that made him rich and give him this great job in the NBA. But that's besides the point today. What we're really talking about is how the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA finals. No one watched it, but apparently people in LA were watching because what happened after their win was riots. Riots took place throughout LA. They had a little celebration, as they might call it euphemistically, but we could see from some evidence, we're going to watch some videos that show it was very crazy. They were running around the city, people standing in the streets, people trying to break stuff, stopping cars. Like it was very, very not safe, not cool, and essentially riots. And what happened after that was 76 people got arrested, which is pretty big news. You could see from this article from the Pledge Times going over it saying, hey, riots in Los Angeles, 76 arrested at the championship celebration of Lakers fans. And we're going to get to more details in a minute and read this article, but I think it says a lot already. I don't think we actually need all of the details yet, because one thing I want to discuss that I find very interesting from the beginning of this is why are they rioting when they win a championship? They won the championship. They did a good thing. Their team should have made them happy, but they're rioting. So this is an interesting thing I want to talk about before we move on, because if you riot when you're happy, what does that say about you? That says that what makes you happy is going out in the streets, gathering with lots of people, and possibly breaking the law, at least for the most part. You know, they're blocking traffic, they're not following rules, sometimes they're leaving trash behind. I mean, that's the bare minimum. Apparently there were more laws broken, that's why a lot of people were arrested here. But the point I want to get at first is, if these people riot when they're happy and when their team wins, what does that say about their other demonstrations? Because the other kinds of riots and protests they've had, they call them protests, but they actually turn into riots too. Those were supposedly happening because they didn't like what was going on in the country. They said everyone was racist. They act like Trump hates minorities and the cops are against black people, stuff like that. So what I'm trying to get at is, if they riot when they're happy, like when they win this championship, doesn't that mean they enjoy the rioting? And it's almost like they enjoy the protests that turn into riots too. And it kind of, to me, it deflates the impact and the whole point. You know, they act like they're rioting because they have to and they're trying to save the world and they're so angry. You know, they act like they're doing it because they're so angry and they want to stop this fake made up problem that they're coming up with. But essentially they want to riot because they enjoy it. That's what I'm getting at, is they enjoy the chaos. They enjoy breaking the law and going out and messing with the cops, like you could see in this picture. They're facing the cops, they're yelling at them, they're breaking stuff in front of them, taunting them. And I think that's a good main point to start with, is just to point out that their form of celebration is a riot. They enjoy rioting when good things happen to them. So when they riot in other situations and they claim it's because they're so oppressed and hurt and everything's so bad for them, really, you should just remember that they enjoy riots and they're rioting because they want to, because they like to, because they enjoy this kind of like danger and breaking of the law. The other thing worth mentioning, of course, is the fact that these are very hypocritical riots. I haven't got to talk about the virus in this video today, but of course that's still going on. And say what you want about the side and what you feel about masks and lockdowns, it doesn't matter much, because California is certainly still locked down. They're one of the strictest places. They're the ones making these mask mandates and closing places and doing just the most extreme stuff regarding this virus. They're trying to hype it up and act like it's the worst thing in the world. Obviously, you could agree or disagree, but the point is, it's hypocritical for them to also then riot, gather in the streets. No one's wearing masks, no one's social distancing. Like, if they were really that scared there, they wouldn't be doing things like this. We've seen this evidence before. We've seen them protest and have other demonstrations that completely contradict what the public face is and how they pretend, oh, you can't gather. We don't want people gathering. They attack Trump gatherings too. They say, oh, there's too many people at this Trump rally. I can't believe Trump's having rallies. Oh, I can't believe people are going to this college sports game. They attack all the other stuff that we want to do, but their stuff is fine. They're allowed to gather. They're allowed to riot. They're allowed to celebrate their win and stuff like that. So the hypocrisy here is very strong too. This story is from Los Angeles. It says, the celebrations after the 17th Los Angeles Lakers NBA title have been overshadowed by rioting. Some fans rioted in the California city and injured police officers. A total of 76 people were arrested. More than 1,000 fans gathered in front of the Staples Center, the home ground of the Lakers, after the decisive 106-93 victory against the Miami Heat in Orlando, Florida. According to the police, some people threw bottles at the police officers present, and more than 30 buildings were damaged in the subsequent riots. The local authorities had asked the fans in advance not to gather near the arena because of the pandemic. So we're seeing a lot more details here. I think this further goes to support both of my main points from the introduction. I mean, first of all, they're not just innocently gathering like we could see here. 76 people were arrested. They weren't convicted yet. We don't know if they're guilty. That's a fair point, but they certainly were likely doing something wrong. The cops aren't going to waste that kind of time arresting people for no reason, and I'm sure they'll have evidence and ways to convict them. And in addition, there's a lot of people trying to attack the cops. 30 buildings were damaged. I mean, there's a lot of bad things here. They're attacking the police, and it's just very reminiscent of the protests and the whole BLM stuff, Antifa demonstrations. And I think it just goes to show that this is what they like to do. This is what their fun is. This is what they enjoy. They want to get out in public. They want to make a lot of noise. They want to get attention. They want to go onto the news, get coverage from the media, and they'll do whatever it takes. If that means destroying something, calling someone racist, gathering, risking infection. This is the MO. This is the left's kind of bread and butter. And I think it very much deflates their whole protest argument, because really, when you think about it, it's like they try to claim, and this is what they pretend. They're like, oh, the protests are necessary. They almost act like they try to act like they don't want to do it. They don't want to be there. Like, that's how a real protest might be. Like, most people don't have an inclination to protest. Like, most people don't want to go and waste their time, money, effort in doing something like that. But if they have to, they will. Like, if there's for example, a mistreatment at your job, and all the people at your job, like, say you work as an umpire and all the umpires are like, we got to protest, we got to get better benefits or something. They're mistreating us. So the umpires will be forced to protest to save their careers and to fix their lives. And that's a situation that the BLMs and the other demonstrations, they try to act like they're forced to do that, and they have to, and they're stopping this racism, this invisible racism they can never prove. But the truth is, and what we're getting at is, they enjoy it. This is what they like to do. They do it when they win sports games. They do it when they want something to do, when they're bored. And it's just a bad look for both sides, and it's proving how bad the Californians really are too. Now, the other point that's reinforced by this is the virus angle. It's hypocritical. The cops warned them because of the pandemic. This whole thing has been locked down. Like, California is one of the states that's just super strict about it. And they also judge us. They're like part of the media and big tech and corporate that judges other people, says that Trump can't have rallies, says that this group can't gather. They say that, oh, you're evil for having a birthday party, but they're going to do this stuff anyway. They don't care. Do as I say, not as I do. Another classic kind of liberal angle. Next, I want to get to a couple tweets. This one's from Geeky Sparkles. It says, Disneyland can't reopen and thousands will lose their jobs, but this is fine. And this is some video images from the protest. You could see the people in the streets here. We don't really need the sound. And yeah, they can't open Disneyland like this original tweet said. And I think that is rather interesting, rather hypocritical. It goes to show the actual people don't care as much about the virus, probably justifiably, because it's certainly not as hyped as the news hypes it up. It's certainly not as life or death scary as the media would have you believe. They're trying to frighten people. And I think it goes to show even the Californians, even these people in LA, the center, the crown jewel of California, even they're not buying the BS. And I think it goes to show that they're just hypocrites. They're just big hypocrites. It's not necessarily all these people's fault, but they're proving California wrong. Next, I got a tweet from Sean. He says, saving this for when someone tells me rioting is okay because white people freak out when their sports team wins. Now, this is another image, another video of cars trying to get through downtown LA. This person's warning people on the news. I think it's a friendly warning, but it really should be more concerning. Like, like I said, blocking traffic is no joke. Causing these riots is not a good look. These people are blocking the traffic, blocking this car. People are throwing stuff in the streets too. There's trash. This is a litter violation. I mean, these might seem like little things. Now they're taking the car down. Okay, wow. Okay, so it's actually escalating. And I think it's important to point out because, I mean, like I said, these people are doing this because they won a game. Like they are excited and happy, and this is what they do for fun. So I think if you think about it in relation to protests and the rioting they've been doing for other reasons, they pretend that's for serious reasons and for things that they really need to solve that just have to be happening. But really, this is just what they do for fun. They're bored. They have too much time on their hands, too much entitlement. In addition, I would say maybe lastly is that there's just not enough cops. This is showing that the police have lost control of California. They're not interested in enforcing the law, enforcing even their mandates about masks and social distancing. And that's why it's divulging into chaos. So with that said, that about wraps things up. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Tell me what you think about the NBA Finals. Did you watch? Was it as interesting or viewed as before? Are people not caring about sports anymore because they're woke? And what about California and these hypocritical riots? Tell me what you think below. Subscribe if you're new and hit the like button too. Until next time, have a good one.